And we're back. So getting back to what I was saying before I was cut off. It's only 10 minutes. Um, so according to that tell-all, which I'm not entirely sure if it's still in circulation or if it's being published still, or if you can find it in the local library, but it was his tell-all. I don't have his name off of the top of my head, but it was Caroline Bassett's former flame, or flame, that she kept to herself and to the side. I guess maybe when John F. Kennedy Jr. would act up, she would go to him. So, yeah, that's some of the stuff. Again, allegedly, I don't want to hear anything about like, well, this isn't not confirmed. This is just things that other people have reported and have mentioned in their tell-all book. So yeah, there's a lot of that. So the reason why I bring this up is because I don't necessarily think that she just like, in the way they hint at it in the show, is that she just like met up with her former flame, and he kind of tells her like, well, I'm very surprised that you would even like accept the ring, 'cause she did accept the ring in this Lovestory, right? She accepted the ring, but she didn't necessarily say yes. She kept saying that we need to have talks, several talks, before she could commit. And her former flame says like, well, if I couldn't even get you to commit to me, how? Then like basically he almost said like it wasn't him. It was like a her thing because she came from a single parent home. And, she had trust issues, and she wore like her dad's wedding ring around her neck, not because of like any particular reason or that she was paying respects to him. He's not that he passed, but because he just walked away. And so she had trust issues, yada, yada, yada. Again, according to other people's recollection of her, she had dated a lot of celebrity men. He wasn't the first. He definitely was the last, but he wasn't the first. So again, what are we doing? I feel like they made this mistake too when they did this recent film for Marilyn Monroe. They put the actress, I don't know her first name. I know her last name is De Almas, and she's Cuban, and she's done a number of films by now. And she's physically beautiful. The movie is all in black and white, and it's supposed accounts of Marilyn Monroe. And I think I reviewed it on my YouTube channel, and I'll probably link it to something related to this video. So follow me there. Link in bio. But I reviewed that movie. I think it's called Blonde. And again, that I know a lot of people who went to go see, and they're like, oh my God, I can't believe, like almost like this was like a grittier tell-all of what happened between her and her love affairs with men, in particular John F. Kennedy, John F. Kennedy Jr.'s dad. And it was like, there was some really gross scenes that I don't know why it needed to be added. It felt very exploitive of the actress. Like they didn't have to put her in those really disgusting scenes. And then to make math of it, again, they were just exaggerated moments. They probably took something along the lines of the truth and blew it up and made it seem like it was way worse or whatever, without really actually it have happening. The reason why I say this is because now this last episode 5, there is the infamous scene of when John F. Kennedy Jr. and Caroline Basset went into a full-on fight in the park. It was a little brutal to watch. It was honestly a private moment between them both, but some paparazzo was quick and got footage. The video is so grainy, it just tells you of the time. It's kind of comical. Not what was happening or the visuals, but just the way that you see it and the way it was uploaded to YouTube. But, yeah, they got into it. Now, unless somebody on Ryan Murphy's team were able to get lip readers and like have a full understanding of what that fight was, I don't know if necessarily that information even exists in any of these tell-all books that exist. But the way the fight came across, it didn't even seem genuine. I'm sorry. No shade to the actors. I think they're doing great jobs as really portraying these two real people. But the fight came across so disingenuous. Like, why can't you love me? By no given moment did I ever believe that this gorgeous man, even flaws and all, was ever going to beg anybody to marry him and love him. The same for her. You know, honestly, these people could have just like walked away from each other and lived the rest of their lives happy. I don't think necessarily they were missing out on anything if they hadn't hooked up. So again, I believe that the way people have made it or critique this is that they wanted this like love story that perhaps we all experienced, or people who lived throughout that era they had with John F. Kennedy and Jacqueline. So I feel like they wanted their prince and princess, and I think that they were maybe romanticizing that idea with these two, and that's what we're kind of seeing in this. I really, honestly, to be perfectly honest, if they would have really taken some a different points of view of the people who really lived in their lives and really interjected that into the story, I think it would have been a little more interesting to watch. I've been watching, not necessarily hate watching. There are some nice moments, and if you are a New Yorker, it does make you feel nostalgic for that New York, 90s New York. But not everything am I kind of gelling with. And that includes even down to the way that they have her walking. Why are you making her walk like that? Anyway, I don't know if I mentioned it in my first video. I probably did. But again, these like wooden moments that don't really feel genuine. Now we're going to move into their wedding. So the way that they went about it, the strategic way of handling certain details so that it wouldn't get leaked to the press, and how they even came up with that location. I hope they mention, but they probably won't. And I believe in the Ask Not book mentions his other previous relationships, John F. Kennedy Jr. And he knew of that place because of his first girlfriend that he practically dragged. I'm sorry, allegedly. Again, I don't know these people in real life, but according to their tell-alls, he dragged this girlfriend. This is one of his first girlfriends, if not his first girlfriend, who introduced him to that location with the promise that maybe at some future point they'd marry, and then he would marry somebody else on that island. And that island is not easy to get to. You have to get to there. Only fishermen get to that island. And I'll try to break down the more gossip that I have heard about the actual chapel where they actually married, which I think was a little inappropriate of them to have done it there. I don't know. Again, I don't know. I can't say for certain. And at the same time, because of what we're living in now and how we're living in the political climate that we're living in now, I don't know. This is kind of starting to feel very much like And Just Like That. Like really far removed when it comes to entertainment, because we're in this ambiguous time in our lives politically. So I know we're watching it for entertainment and perhaps to distract ourselves from all that. But then at the same time, I'm like, do I really care about what happened between these two? I don't know. They had a tragic loss, I will say. But me doing my own research and going into a rabbit hole about their real lives has been way more interesting than what I'm seeing on screen. I will say, though, I did love the way it finished. It finished with the Goo Goo Dolls, and I have loved the soundtrack. They had Jeff Buckley on episode 4, and then all the Goo Goo Dolls to end. And Sade. There were some moments of Sade. So for that, if you want to be nostalgic and reminisce on 90s pop culture and music, I recommend it. But aside from that, you're not going to be really watching anything real. Sorry. All right, y'all. Until next time, if you've been watching, let me know in the comment section down below, and stay tuned for my next review.